Hey, welcome to Duluth Conservative. I like having the old song back. Can you hear it when we play the intro?
No, I just see it. I can't hear
I
it.
I switched back because I kept getting a copyright notice on the other one that my wife put together for us. So I took this one because I know that's a free song. So I, I kind of like
Yeah,
it though. I really like that song.
good
Welcome to
baseline.
Duluth. Welcome to Duluth Conservative. We are going to be talking about issues that face Minnesota, the nation, Duluth, things you probably won't hear in Duluth or may not hear in Duluth. And we'll just discuss them in a reasonable way and give our thoughts. One of our big things we're going to be talking about today, and as we start the show, is we're going to talk a little about Grandma's Marathon, but then we're going to talk about the data center in Hermantown, which has been making a lot of news lately and had some pretty good discussions about that. So we'll talk about that in a little bit of more detail than we usually do. And then we'll run through how many pages we got tonight, Dave?
I think it was
17?
16, 17.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a
Okay.
lot.
Well, I can't tell you that we're going to get through all those stories, but we'll try to do it in a reasonable amount of time, get wrapped up just around 7:00. So shall we begin?
We shall.
We shall. Okay, let's talk about Grandma's Marathon. So if you're not from Duluth, we have a marathon here. You can qualify for the Boston Marathon, I believe, if you do this and do well enough. It was last Saturday. The weather was perfect. We got a lot of volunteers coming in, a lot of people coming to the city. I actually ran the half marathon. I think this is my fourth Grandma's half marathon. Probably my worst time I've done in a long time, but I did it. So last time I ran it was right before the pandemic, and I ran it a little under 2 hours. This time it was about 2:23. I think it was on 2:23 on the dot. So not my best run, not my worst run, not falling behind, not showing off. Nice C average run for me. So I was pretty happy to get done with it. The last thing I was thinking of when you get close to the finish line, all you want to do is finish. That was the last 9 miles for me. It was a tough run. But that's over, and we've got some winners that we're going to announce. So the winner of the men's marathon at a time of 2 hours, 11 minutes, and 21 seconds, keeping in mind that he ran twice as far as me, faster than me by 10 minutes. It's not humbling. It's just the truth. His name is Emmanuel Masel. And it was his first victory at Grandma's Marathon, his first ever win over six-time champion Alicia Barno, who came in second at just over a minute over his time, 2:12:50. And then third place was Joel Reichow at 2 hours and 13 minutes. So impressive times. I don't know how they do it, but run like the wind, man. In the women's full marathon, Dakota Pohin at 2 hours and 28 minutes and 51 seconds, achieving her third career Grandma's Marathon win. That's pretty impressive.
Correct.
Joining the ranks of Lorraine Moeller and Mary Okar as three-time female champions. And she's still pretty young, so I think she might be able to do it again.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Second place is Bashanki Bilo at 2 hours, 29 minutes, and 56 seconds. And this is her North American debut. So congratulations to all those people that ran it and won. Even if you didn't win it, congratulations for finishing it. If you didn't finish it, congratulations on trying. So it's, if you're not going to be the elite contender for first to second, third place, then it's just a matter of you're competing against yourself to, do something like this. I remember when I first started running, this is now 20 years ago at least. I was looking at a 5K going, how am I going to, I don't even know if I can finish that. Right. But then you build up. Now I have teased the idea of doing the full marathon. I don't know. I should do a video after I do the half marathon because I would convince myself not to do it.
Yeah, go check your finish photograph and see how you look at the half. Yeah, I'm not going to make 12. Yeah, I'm not going to make another one. So
no, it didn't come out good there. Half marathon men, Acer Iverson from the United States, 1 hour, 1 minute, 15 seconds. That is flying. Aiden Reed, 1 hour, 1 minute, 26 seconds. Wow, a 9-second difference between first and second place. That's crazy.
Yeah.
And then a 30-second difference to third place, Joel Klecker, United States. So 101, 101, and 101 are the winning 3 times. That's impressive. And for the win, Cassandra Parker at 1 hour, 10 minutes, 16 seconds. Maddie Dickinson at 1 hour, 11 minutes, and 35 seconds. And Rebecca Schmidt at 1 hour, 12 minutes, and 11 seconds. Also quite impressive times. I mean, my God.
Right.
So that was Grandma's. What was your impression, Dave? You were a spectator. I saw you when I was running past. You were jeering me. I appreciate that.
It was it wasn't as busy as I was expecting. The biggest problem was the construction, so you couldn't move like you normally do. So you're kind of stuck in one position versus being able to go to multiple places. But it just seemed a lot quieter and even less international than it normally does.
Right.
So, and then there's some strange things with, because letting the wheelchair participants come through. So everything was really strange, but when the wheelchair people came through, man, they were flying.
Yeah.
They need some respect too. But Grandma's is the 10th largest in the United States as far as participants. So it was, and every single one of them was full. So it was still a pretty big event. So
right, yeah, it was pretty nice. And when you're running it, it's really cool because you got the volunteers there cheering you on. They're just volunteers. Most of the people at the water station, I think all of them are volunteers, but there's also people that just come from the city and there was a beer booth. A bunch of college students had a beer booth. There was some place that they had pickle juice. Have you ever heard of that? Drinking pickle juice on a marathon?
Yeah, I heard because pickle juice has a lot of salt in it, so they think that's good for you.
I wasn't going to try it. It was like 4 miles out for the finish, and I was like, I'm not ingesting pickles or pickle juice right before I get. I didn't want to have that kind of mess.
Right.
I accidentally popped this message on here, but somebody is saying, "What's going on? Can I get the back picture?" I'm not sure what back picture they're talking about here, but if you're talking about this is real. This isn't a back picture. This is real live flags. So
yeah,
I get that to you. What else? It was they were giving out strawberries and orange slices at the Super One, right there. Yep. I wouldn't want that either. Not that close to the end.
Well, orange slices are good because they help with your endurance. Same with bananas are good for you during the race. Yeah. I'm not sure where the strawberries came in, other than they taste good. So
yeah. So there was a lot of really good people out there cheering everybody on. It was a great time. And so if you're a runner, if you can do it, you should try it. I would highly encourage it. It's a mess coming here. It's a mess trying to stay here, but once you're here for the marathon, it's great.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's wrap up, and we're going to move on to like our main topic for tonight. And we're going to spend a lot of time on it. And let's give some background on this first. There is a data center that is proposed for Hermantown, which is just next to Duluth, butts up against Duluth. It's really close to my house. And the way this came about was probably the worst way possible, which is we found out that the Hermantown city councilors or the mayor or their elected officials had signed non-disclosure agreements with a company to not be named about something. And they couldn't tell us there was a project going on. They couldn't tell us what was up, but people figured out that there was a data center because they were buying up land. So immediately walking into this thing, people are feeling like they're being lied to and things are being concealed from them. That's not the way to do business. I've said it before. I've signed non-disclosure agreements before when I'm working at a company, but I never do it without my boss knowing that I do it. And right. Who are the elected officials' boss? Us, the people that live here. So it was a problem in that they did not tell the people that they were doing this. And I guess now I'm seeing that this is actually a common scheme that these companies do. They'll do this first. They go in about a year beforehand. They get the elected officials to sign a non-disclosure agreement, and they kind of they'll sign it so they can be in the room and you can be part of this, but it is broad. They can't say who's coming or what's doing. They can't even say that there's a project going on. They start buying up the land. They start putting infrastructure in place. And by the time everybody knows about it, it's too late. It's already been signed on. So I think that's probably what was happening in this too. So yesterday, Google rented out the Shriners Event Center. And there's a reason they did that and didn't have it a public place, because there was protesters there. There's always going to be protesters against everything. And this way, renting out a private event center, the protesters couldn't be on the land. So but they did allow them to be on the highway as you're driving up and in the back section of the land, way back. So it was interesting to go there. Google had set up a bunch of booths and you could walk around and you could talk to different people, like Excel Energy was there, or Minnesota Power, I'm sorry. And they were talking about all the four things that people have a big fear about data centers in one way. So it's the practical thing. It's the energy. How are you going to supply energy? Are we going to be getting huge tax increases or rate increases because of this? There's the water, because a lot of these data centers are water cooled. So there's a problem with the water getting superheated and then going back and killing the fish that when it goes in the stream. There's the light pollution, because the lights are on all the time, even especially in the construction, but even when it's done, you have a big parking lot. And then the actual noise pollution, which is there's a humming sound and there's a vibration, or there's a loud noise that comes from having that much energy and that much processing power going on. And they kind of answered all those, right, Dave? I mean, if I go through it, what they said was for the water, it's going to be geothermal. It could be pipes down. It's going to be air cooled. So it's going to be a closed system within the data center, and it's not going to be taking in water. So that's number one. The water concern was gone. Number two, for the noise, they said it was 50 decibels?
Yeah, something like that. Yep.
Which doesn't sound like a lot, but if you live a mile away and it's not coming and going. So if you start comparing it to a highway, I've lived next to a highway, and highways are annoying, but then they die down at night. This is constant. So they didn't answer that, but they did say the decibel level was low, and it is pretty low. So that's that answer. And then the light pollution, they were talking about pointing the lights down so that there isn't as much glow. So they're kind of mitigating that. And then the noise pollution, and then what was the fourth one? The electricity. Minnesota Power is heavily regulated. They're a monopoly here in the area. They have to provide power for us. And one thing the lady when I was talking to these guys about it, they said the mines are 70% of our load right now. We already have big businesses that are taking a lot of electricity. So, and they have different venues or veins of power coming in, so they can produce it. They said they're building infrastructure, so they kind of answered that. So that's the big upfront concern. So then I wanted to talk to the protesters, because I want to know what they have to say as well. And I talked to a guy the night before, a guy I really respect, and his concern isn't so much the physical, but it's the philosophical questions. So what are these data centers being used for? What is going to happen to them if this technical bubble bursts and then we have this big data center? What are we losing? We're losing farmland. One of the girl I talked to was, her environmental concern was, we're losing farmland. Well, I don't necessarily think that's too big of a deal because it's undeveloped at this point. But yeah, I understand the environmental concern there. But it's more about, is this going to be used for surveillance? What is this going to be used for? What is the benefit to us? Is it really something we need to invest in? And I get it, because they're putting cameras in Duluth even that track your license plates, track where you're going, and AI is pretty much controlling everything. Problem being, the counter to that is, if they don't build this data center in Hermantown, does it affect anything? Does that really impact anything? Is it helping us or hurting us to have a data center close by? I don't know the answer to that question, but it's a question worth asking. And it's not a protest that you can just disregard, I don't think. I think it's a real problem. So this is actually one of these issues that I think conservatives and liberals can agree on. It's something that we can get together and say, we need to figure this out and make the best decision for us all. There's some people that are just jumping on this and they're like, yeah, let's build it. I don't agree with that. It's exactly the same way I don't agree with no way we're not going to build it without a good reason for it. So I'm still under the impression that we need to have the discussion, but it has to be more than those physical things that kept being brought up. And what they're talking about too was maybe they're bringing those things up so that as a problem solver, that's what I want to fix. I want to go, can we fix those things? Can we do it? When you take a step over those things and go to the next level, then it's more philosophical. Should we do this? Right now we're going into Plato. What is truth? What is data center? What is AI? So interesting conversation, but I've monologued on this enough. Dave, what are you thinking?
Well, there's been a lot of thinking that it has something to do with the quantum computers also, which we discussed, 4 or 5 shows ago about. That's not really a good thing either. As far as a data center, I mean, are they just holding data like our YouTube videos and, we're just filling the internet up with pictures of absolutely nothing or something like that? That's one thing. Cats, yeah. Which are fine, yeah. But, or are they connected directly to the flock cameras where they're going to pinpoint everybody's movement no matter where you go for the next, forever? So they can come back and say, well, 50 years ago, you went to Dairy Queen and you didn't tip, so you need to go to jail,
A specific example, but yes.
I mean, we're not to UK standards yet, but I mean, they could do that too, UK could be looking back at your posts, from 30 years ago and say, well, you said this, so that's illegal. We're going to throw you in jail. Right. We've talked about this as the arrest, and the arrest is the punishment. Whether they find you guilty or not, right? You have to go through the system, and that's your punishment, basically. So, it's absolutely correct to go, what are you using this for? Right.
I don't, and with that, the question is also, do we have a right to ask that? Right? Just because they're building a building and it's going to be massive and it's going to take electricity, that's the only reason it's on the radar. But if they could do this in a basement, if they could do this in my office, do we get to question what they do it for? Maybe we do. I mean, whether they can build that device they need right now, that's today. In 20 years, they're going to be able to build this same thing in a capacity of about a quarter of the size with a quarter of the power, right?
Right, and people forget that there's a data center already built in Duluth,
near my house.
And yeah, so what's being stored there? Nobody's ever even asked that same question. So now we're basically starting the new ground of what do we need them for, and what's going on.
It reminds me of the Cold War. Now, a lot of people aren't old enough to remember that, but we build nuclear weapons because they're building nuclear weapons, and we have to have enough to destroy them. And that's like the data center thing too, or the AI capability. China's going to have it, and North Korea is going to have it, and they're going to attack us. And if we don't have a countermeasure to that with the same amount of power or more, then we're going to lose. And it feels like that to me too. It's this asinine buildup of resources that doesn't do us any benefit, but we have to do it because otherwise, if our enemies or people who want to go aggressive on us have that, we can't counter it, they're going to take over our place. And that would be a bad thing, right?
Right.
So I encourage people, especially if you live around here, to just study up and start thinking about these issues. We have to have some of these higher level questions and answers. And I know people, like when I walked over to the protesters group, this is a group of people that may not agree with me on a lot of subjects, but we agree on talking about this. And I went to my other thing, and this guy I really, really respect, a very conservative guy, and we agree on it here. And I'm a very privacy-based guy. I do not like this lack of privacy we have in the country. And so if you pushed me right now to say, make a decision of whether we can build this data center, I would say no. But that's because I don't have all the answers. I don't have all the theories behind it. But if you push me right now, I would default to saying privacy is more important than having that economy, boosting thing. But I don't want to say that yet. I want to say, let's talk about it and really hash some of this stuff out and really come clean on it. So everybody has a really clear definition, and then find out what everybody decides. So I hope we do that.
Yeah, and I talked to some people in line that were waiting to get in, and that's basically was okay. Let's start the conversation with information.
Mm-hmm.
We can't say no until we have the information. We can't say yes until we have the information. So most of the people I talked to were, okay, I don't know yet. Let's find out.
Yeah.
So, which is a better place to be at is let's get in all the information on the table and then go from there. So,
yeah, and the nice thing is too, like you said, the people that were violently against the data center were wearing red shirts and had a big no data center here, but we were able to be in a room together, and nobody was an idiot, and everybody was respectful, and people were answering questions. You can ask them a question, but there was no shoving matches that I know of, or any fighting or anything like that. It was a bunch of people that wanted to do the best for the community and wanted to have a conversation. That's the way protests should work. The people protesting were polite. They were making their signs known, but they weren't harassing people going in. And then when I walked over, if you saw the people that were down there, I mean, it was like a carnival down there, kind of. It was like people in their shorts and stuff. Well, I had a jacket on. I was dressed kind of nice, but there was no verbal. There was nothing. I was asking questions, and they were answering it. We'd had a conversation. So that's the best.
I mean, it was good that there was 50 cops there.
not down in the protest area. No, there weren't.
No. What I appreciated was I appreciated the representatives being there. Natalie Zalesnikar was there. Derek Law, who's running for against Jen McCoon, she was there. You were there representing. The mayor of Hermantown was there. So, I didn't see any Democrat politicians there, but I was there for a long time. But it was like, people need to. They're trying to find out that same information and talk to the people of what they're thinking. And it was good to see the Republicans show up to, talk to the people to find out, So, I mean, we need representatives that actually represent instead of just skirting the issues. So,
right. Yeah. You got to know the issues and know what people are thinking. And I got a good feeling talking to the protesters. I got a good feel for where they're coming from. And it was not what I was expecting. I was expecting them to talk about water and noise and light and stuff like that. No, I said, what's your top three? And the top three was AI is, what is it being used for? Are you surveilling us? It was more heady stuff than I was expecting them to be protesting. And it was good because they had an answer to some of those physical things. So it was a good conversation. So, and nice girl who I talked to too.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be nice if she could put on a bra, but that's a different conversation.
No, that was a guy.
Oh, that was a guy. Okay,
that was a guy. All right, we'll shift off of here. We spent a lot of time on the data center. If there's questions, let us know. We can talk about it. I'm more than happy to talk about the data center, and I will be finding out more still about it. And maybe I'll have to go out to a philosophy class to learn what AI is and what truth is.
Right.
Here comes Zeno paradoxes all over again. All right. We're going to take a couple shifts hard right because we have a bunch of disjointed stories, but I wanted to cover them first. Number one is international news of Latin America continuing to shift right as Trump-backed candidate declares victory in Colombia. So an interesting phenomenon has taken place where South America was going full communist. A lot of countries were going full communist, full. And then all of a sudden, they're shifting back over right. So what is the difference? Well, there's a few things that have changed. Trump took office, but I don't see how that would have affected it that much. I think USAID being drying up, being cut off.
Oh,
I think that has a lot to do with it. I think that the money that was being used to influence these elections is gone, and now people are voting in those countries the way they really want things to happen. So I don't know how to prove that, but that is what my thought is. What do you think, Dave?
I agree completely because Trump went down to Central America and got Maduro and arrested him for drug trafficking. And once they put a new leader in that was right-leaning, conservative, and started implementing Trump ideas, that country's turned around, and I think everybody's noticing that.
Right.
So they want a piece of it. So they're going to vote in a guy just like Trump, to conservative Republican, basically their version of it, and to save their own countries.
Or if you want a cynical view for it, they're getting a phone call going, you know what we did there? You know what we did with that leader? So you're going to want to elect a certain person.
Yeah.
That's a cynical conspiracy way to look at it, but I don't know. Move on to the next thing. So this reflecting pool in Washington, it's being restored. They cleaned it all out. They drained it. They fixed it. They patched it. They colored it and everything. And what's funny to me is, so now they're saying that there's vandals who are pouring corrosive chemicals into the reflecting pool. And I've also seen reports where they're pouring algae into the reflecting pool. And apparently the reflecting pool is greened up quite a bit and they're having to deal with it. My question is, why is this so important to so many people? I mean, to me, it's a great thing to drain it, to clean it, to fix it. That should be done. This is not a partisan issue. This is just, let's make our monuments look good. Obama did it in his term, and they cleaned it up, and algae grew again, and it was no big deal. It has nothing to do with who's in the Oval Office. It's making our national monuments look good is a good thing, right? So I don't understand why there's so much talking about it, so many stories about it, so many other things going on, but people they want to slam dunk it too. They're like, ha, there's algae in the reflecting pool, you fool.
Yeah.
Who cares? I just don't understand
It's just the childish TDS syndrome where he's trying to make America beautiful again, so we're going to ruin it for him because we're just being we're just children.
It's kind of what drives me nuts about this 250th anniversary. I mean, we were old enough to remember the bicentennial, 1976, and that was great. It was so fun to be, we only get so many of these big marker birthdays. And it's so fun to have everything red, white, and blue and just be patriotic, just enjoy it for a while. And there's a lot of people that just don't want to because of who's president right now. Well, the presidency is transitory. This is our country. You're a part of it. If you think things suck here, you do something about it. You're part of it. You can't blame everybody else if you're part of it. So I just hope everybody gets past this and we really have a fun summer, because this could be a potentially just great summer of red, white, and blue, fireworks, burgers, just having a good time. And we had the World Cup here, and all these people from outside our country came here and got to see how fun it is here and how much propaganda there's been against us in other countries. And it can be very fun here if you want it to be. And if you want to be miserable, you'll be miserable. So a little side rant there.
The poll that just came out was 87% of Republicans were proud of America and 29% of Democrats were proud of America.
Yeah.
So they're going to do everything to destroy everybody else's happiness because
miserable people like to be people miserable. That's just a fact.
That's what's happening. So
now, speaking of being miserable, this, of course, will sound me off. There's a headline here that says Social Security reform imperative to avoid a 34% tax hike or insolvency by 2032, trustee warns. every time they want to get more money out of us, they talk about how Social Security is going to go down. But you know why it's having a problem? This is the one program that money is directly taken from our checks and directly funneled into, and that's what it's supposed to be used for. But they use it for everybody. People that don't even contribute to it get Social Security. And I've heard it called an entitlement too. I've been working since I was 16. I've been putting into the Social Security program. It's not an entitlement. It's my money that I could have had and invested myself, probably for a greater return. But then they threaten us to say, well, you just don't get any of it. It's ridiculous to me. I put money in. I should get that money out at least. And I should get a lot more because it's been invested for 40 years.
Yeah, how come Social Security is being talking about insolvency, but Ukraine funds to go into Ukraine, that seems to be forever. Our welfare fraud in Minnesota, that seems to, we have plenty of money for that. We entitlements to the welfare and the illegal immigrants, that never seems to run out of money. They always seem to
foreign aid. Yeah, we borrow money from China to give foreign aid to other countries, but we don't have enough for our Social Security. You're right. Not one dime goes out of this country until Social Security is funded. That should be the rule.
Yeah, and what about the referendums for our schools? The schools are running out of money,
right?
But nothing else is.
Right.
Doesn't make sense.
Oh, and let's do a side note here that I just did a teachers union forum, and they're describing, it's tough to be a teacher. Obviously, they don't make a lot of money, and that's kind of the way it's set up because it's a taxpayer funded thing. So, you're not going to be a teacher to get rich. If you think you're going to get rich being a teacher, probably not a good plan. But they talked about referendums, and one of the guys said, well, we have to go to get a referendum to get the extra money we may need to be fully funded, what they consider fully funded. And he said, well, yeah, if you go into a rich community, that they always pass. So like 99% they pass them. But if you go into a area that's struggling, they don't pass them. And so he said, so it's not really working for us. And we need to maybe have the legislature fix or change the taxes. And my answer to that was no. The referendums are a perfect way for people to be able to express they don't have the extra money right now, so you don't get it. This is almost like charity you're asking for here, and people around everywhere are struggling. The teachers are struggling, yes. So is everybody else. So it seems like fully funding, what you call fully funding, doesn't happen anywhere either, right?
Correct.
I do a project, I do a proposal, somebody does a proposal for my yard. Here's a good example. Last year, I wanted to get this sidewalk put in. I wanted all this extra stuff. And they came in and said, here's what it's going to cost. And I said, I can't do that. Let's dial it back. And we dialed it back to what was reasonable for what I wanted and what was, what they were going to be able to provide. So it's just kind of a side tangent here, but it's Social Security being threatened again. Stop threatening us with this. We've got too many entitlement programs for real and too much foreign funding going out for you to look at Social Security and say, we can't have it. That's just ridiculous.
Right.
All right. Okay. You want a completely different subject? Did you see this? You pop this story up. There was a Knicks.
Yeah, I've seen it.
They had these New York Knicks trash cans, commemorative trash cans for the game. That was orange and blue. And so this woman walks up, they got a video of her. She takes it, upends it, dumps all the trash, takes the thing, walks onto the subway and takes the thing home. I can't give you a better picture of the downfall of a country than that. I mean, but it turned out she was a DEI executive at JP Morgan Chase. So she has since gotten fired for that, which I think is the best move I think they could have done, because as soon as they identified her working at that company is like, oh man. But I can't believe that video.
The company.
To her just picking it up and just dumps everything and then walks away with a trash can. I mean, are we a civilization or not? My God.
Yeah, but it was her colors. It was her Knicks colors.
Buy a trash can and spray paint it, you know?
Yeah.
It's orange and blue. The last thing I have in top stories, this just didn't fit anywhere, so I wanted to put it in here, but it's a link we'll provide, but it's a guy explaining that let's stop talking about rich versus poor or black versus Asian versus white versus Hispanic. It's the makers and the takers. That's how we dial things apart. There's people that make things, teachers, lawyers, doctors, miners, computer scientists, construction workers, janitors. Those are the people that make things. And then there's the takers. You get your politicians, the people that just want stuff for themselves. They want universal basic income. They want free college. Those are the takers. And the problem is the takers have too much power in this state, and we need to have the makers making decisions and not the takers. It's an interesting take on it. It's something to watch. We'll just post it so you can take a look at it.
And that's what basically New York and Seattle are going through right now is the socialist mayors that are, taking from the rich and giving it to the beggars, basically. So.
Oh, we're going to have a little story about that in just a little while. But we are 40 minutes in and we're just through the top stories. So I'm going to crank through some of these stories now. Let's move on to Duluth now. This is your story. I didn't know about this. $207,000 salary proposal for Duluth police chief headed to the city council. And so their current contract was approved in 2022 with a base salary of $161,000.
Correct.
And now they want $207,000. That's pretty good. That's a pretty good increase for 4 years. Wow.
Yeah.
So
and that
went from 161,000 to 187,000 to 207,000. That's a large raise. That's almost $50,000 for 4 years. Wow.
Right. At first I was thinking it was because he he did a sub 2.5 at the Grandma's Marathon, but I don't think that's true.
Did he? If
As
he
a
did,
bonus.
I was feeling very bad about myself.
So I don't think that bonus is there.
According to AI, the average salary for a police chief serving a population of around ours is about 130 to 180. So that means he's above average already, and he's going to be well above average. I wonder what the justification is for that big increase. I would imagine it's somewhere in there.
Yeah.
And is he not represented by the union? I mean, this must not be a union position, right?
No, because the chief of police is appointed, so they're kind of above that, but they do have to go through the union. So he's getting all of his fringe benefits through the union, as far as severance and all that other stuff. So,
and
it was just a huge raise, for has the loose crime gone down? No.
But we are not a very crime-ridden. I mean, comparatively to other places, but we're small too. So,
right. So he's basically making the same salary as a large metropolitan in a small town, basically. So I'd like to know why the city council justifies this, other than because it's not their money. So,
well, it's going to be interesting too when they're trying to pass, and I know they were talking about this, and we hadn't talked about it yet. I don't think, it was the high density housing for the state. Remember when Leash Kozlowski, or the Duluth rep, tried to push through something so that the state could mandate high density housing in cities, and the cities had no power to prevent it? That got shot down, right? So whatever powers that be that decided that was a good idea are now going down to the city levels. And I know Duluth City Council was going to look at a proposal so that they could do it at the city ordinance levels, because they failed at the state. So now they're going down and doing the harder work and getting it down to the cities. But if we have high density housing in this city and we start packing people in, then you're going to have this guy earning that money because it's going to get bad.
Oh, right. Yeah, definitely.
And moving on to the next thing, we have a new high-rise opening in downtown. And
yeah, I was a little surprised too.
Yeah, where is this at?
It's on the 300 block East Superior Street.
Is this what
So
they've been
it's
working
over-
on forever? Like,
Yeah,
they've
it's
been
over more
blocking
by
out Superior Street? I thought that was going to be Essentia.
Well, it's basically Essentia, but it's high-rise condos basically. So
Interesting. No, I always thought that was just another extension of Essentia because if you look at that picture, that's Essentia to the right of it. And I thought it was going to be like, I don't know, housing or more office space or something. So I'm surprised that's condos. Huh. So it's a 15-story building with mixed-use property that developers say is something Duluth has never seen before. All about modern-day living, wellness, and community. That includes an invite. I got something scrolled in front of my thing here. To locals and tourists. The building features 176 apartments on floors 5 through 15 in the form of studios, 1 and 2 bedroom units. The feel is industrial with some of the best views that Duluth has to offer. Great, $1,600 to $6,000 a month for a room or a apartment. Well, great.
Yeah.
Then we got 175 more units, and then people could stop complaining so much.
and the bottom floors are going to be mixed use commercial.
Mm-hmm.
So
well, it makes sense. I mean that you provide services to the people that live there, and the grocery store isn't that far down, right? Super One or Super Value is only probably, what would you say, 5 blocks away?
yeah, it'd be something in that range. Yeah,
Not horrible,
no,
not bad. And then there's a little thing on Superior Street right here on my next to my office that is opened up, and that's just a kind of a small little almost like a gas station kind of place. They closed the one in Holiday Inn, but now there's one on Superior Street, so that's good. Let's see. Oh, moving on to the next thing. There's a Skyway tunnel. Okay, explain that to me, Dave. What's a Skyway tunnel? So it's a tunnel that's connected to the Skyway system.
A Skyway it's in the sky, but it's it can't be underground and overground all at the same time. So I'm not exactly sure what that means.
It's a gopher system. So this is between Maurice's and the Radisson. So it's near the end of the Skyway. So the Skyway used to end, or it's a part of the Skyway system. That's what it is. But it comes down and then it goes underneath the building. It used to end at the library. Then they closed the extension from the library to Radisson down. And then it ended at the Radisson. Now they're closing from the Radisson to Maurice's down. And it's because of a result of unwanted behaviors, otherwise known as public urination in a Skyway. And it was people were using it as a toilet down there. So
we call it crime,
and instead of fixing it, instead of putting those people in jail or monitoring it, they're just shutting it down. And hopefully this isn't the trend that they're going to just keep closing it closer and closer to the downtown area. But there's places on the Skyway that are pretty desolate and reek. So it's unfortunate. I used to walk there in the winter time, because I get some steps in it or something. I had to get away from the office for like 20 minutes. And if I wanted to go to the library, I could take the tunnel all the way there, but now you can't do that. So unfortunately, that's closing, and people should know about that.
Yeah, I don't think everyone was using it. So
I was using it, and homeless people were using it.
Yeah. So
last Duluth story is the Park Point Art Fair returns to Duluth this weekend with 100+ artists. So go to Park Point this weekend. Kicks off Saturday, runs from 10 to 5. Saturday or Sunday, rain or shine. More than 100 visual artists selected from the upper Midwest and beyond. The organizers say that art fairs are very unique because you can speak with the artist face-to-face, learn about their art, get the story as you purchase it. It also is really important to the community and brings it all together. These are great, actually, to talk to an artist about why they painted something is really cool. what was their inspiration? Where did they do it? What were they thinking when they did it? It's pretty cool to do. They usually are very interesting people too.
Yeah,
they recommend
we call them mentally undeveloped, but that's something different.
As an artist,
or unique. Okay, there's called unique artists. Yeah, that's a better word for it. That's politically correct.
They recommend driving to the end of the fair where there will be free parking. There will be live music. And on Saturday, Mississippi Mike Wolf, Christopher David Hansen, Russ Sackett, and Woodblind will perform. On Sunday, Watercat. You should go to that one, Dave. Father Hennepin, St. Paul Mudsteppers, and the Eric Koskian Band will perform. So, sounds pretty cool. Hopefully it'll be a nice weekend. It looks like if it's going to be like this weather, it's going to be perfect down there.
Yeah, I haven't checked about the weather, so.
All right. Got through Duluth, and we're going to talk about a little Minnesota legislature. Senator Amy Klobuchar, or Klobuchar, apparently is the way that she used to say it before they moved to the Twin Cities, wants Congress to sign off before troops go near polling places. She's backing a bill that would limit a president's power to send troops or federal agents to polling places. God forbid we have safe elections. My God, we got to do everything we can to stop that, right?
Yeah, we can't be safe.
The bill would require congressional approval before any president sends troops or federal agents to election sites. It would also prevent federal agents from seizing election records. Boy, that doesn't stink like fraud and corruption at all, Amy.
Yeah.
We know that, you guys. Why is it the Democrats are so hell-bent on making sure that you can't figure out if the elections are safe?
Right.
Come to your own conclusions, I guess.
Yeah, but then you just seen that you just seen that article where Walz is doing a FISA application to get information on why the troops had to come to Minnesota.
Right.
So it's okay for the feds to give information to them, but not for them to give information to the feds. Like,
yeah, and I don't understand this. Maybe somebody could explain it to me, that they say it's a privacy thing. And there's Civil Rights Act said that the federal government can't know the social security numbers of the people that are voting. But the federal government is in charge of the social security numbers that are given out to every citizen. So it isn't really a reveal or anything, right?
Yeah, and they already know it.
And it's not who they're voting for. It's not you're not tying the person to the vote. You're just tying a person that, or to who they voted for. It's just that they did vote. And so therefore you can make sure that legal citizens are the only ones voting elections, and they're only voting once. Why?
Yeah.
Because people want to make it so hard to do that. You got to ask yourself, what are the motivations behind that? And it's not altruistic. It's because they've got some other plans.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move on to Tim Walz. I almost want to call this Tim Walz, Keith Ellison, or Minnesota fraud. That's pretty much the same, right?
Yeah.
Federal judge quashes grand jury subpoenas targeting Tim Walz, Jacob Frey, and DOJ's immigration enforcement investigation. Of course, there will be no charges. There will be nothing will be done. These guys run rampant and nothing happens to them at all. So
yeah,
nope, you can't do that. So why bring them to trial?
Yeah, and they have a judge to just basically excuse fraud or information. It's just ridiculous.
I'm going to skip this one, come back to it, but we're going to do this next one. Is Keith Ellison's temper came out when asked about fraud in Minnesota. Keith Ellison has a hair trigger on his temper, it seems. And you say the wrong thing to him, you press him at all, and he goes a little ballistic. And you don't have to show this clip, David. We don't have to go through it, or show it.
I just wanted people to see what he looks like.
Yeah, go ahead and play it. I think it's only a few seconds long. So
30 seconds.
Go ahead. Let's get a little taste of Keith.
The newspapers for a forensic accounting, the number you mentioned is tightly identified with people of a very unique political persuasion aligned with the Trump administration. So I'm done talking to you. Bye-bye.
No, I just wanted you to clear up the number. I'm not quoting. I'm quoting several reports.
I get it. It's wrong though. And if you're a real reporter, you should know
I
that.
will report that you're saying it's wrong.
I don't know. He didn't seem too angry to me, but it's funny that he's trying to now blame conservatives for the corruption. And,
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
look at Minnesota. Look at how much money we've lost as taxpayers. That money that should have gone to seniors, roads, veterans, or back in our own pocket. And he's meeting with the fraudsters saying he's going to protect them. I don't trust this guy at all.
No.
So let's go back. Now let's go back to the previous one. This quote from Governor Walz. So we've talked a little bit about Europe and UK and how basically they stripped their guns away in Australia and the UK, and now they're running rampant over the citizens there, and the citizens can't do anything to protect themselves. Now people are getting stabbed to death and in the streets, and now they're taking away all the knives. You want to pop this one up, or I can put up the image?
Let
me just. Oh, you got it.
Well, it doesn't. It knocks off the bottom of it. But
okay, let me just. I'll throw up the image file. So just take that down. So this is a quote from Tim Walz. The idea that if you give up your guns, you're not going to have freedom. The UK and Australia gave up their guns and they still are free. Okay, Tim, you just don't get it, do you, Tim? Our governor, ladies and gentlemen, I am so proud to be from this state.
Yeah.
And
we talked about last week, the number of posts in the UK for, if you post something that they don't like, you go to jail. It was 100 times or 1,000 times more than China or Russia combined.
Right.
Oh, so they gave up the guns and they are no longer free.
The first thing a dictatorship does before they start stomping on people is take away their guns. Hitler did it. Mao did it. Stalin did it. Castro did it. That's the way they do it. They don't want you to be able to fight back as effectively because it's a lot harder to get your troops to come down on the people if the people will fight back and have some reasonable means to defend themselves.
Right.
And just a little side note. We just talked about Keith Ellison. He receives the maximum campaign contribution amount that is allowed from George Soros' son. Geez, I wonder why that guy would be, contributing to a guy in Minnesota. And remember, Soros Foundation and Soros, their idea was we don't go after the big offices. We go after the small offices and the AGs, and that's how we get our way. They started small. They go to the cities and they go to the state level and they go to the AGs. And then when they do that, they can do anything they want to. And geez, it's so funny that our attorney general is being funded by George Soros' son. I'm sure they're good buddies. Maybe they went to school together, huh?
I'm sure we could find a picture of them holding the Antifa handbook together. So
I know we have one of Keith Ellison with it.
Yeah.
All right, Minnesota news. We're going to switch off here at 5 to the hour. Fraud, who's to blame? 1/3 of respondents to a poll say that outgoing governor shoulders the most blame, but he actually didn't receive the most votes. The criminals themselves are most to blame, according to 36% of the voters. Minnesota legislature received 13% of the votes, while 17% said someone else or not sure. 73% say Walz needs to do more, while 76% say Minnesota lawmakers have to do more to stop the fraud. I think you're both right. I think Walz turned a blind eye. So the criminals that do the crime, first of all, are the ones to blame. That is first and foremost. The ones that do the crime are to blame. Walz turned a blind eye. He went after people who were whistleblowers. He created a situation where it was easy to commit fraud. He's to blame. I will not blame the Republicans in Minnesota because this happened a lot during the trifecta. And every time a vote came up in the last 2 years about getting an AG or inspector general for this, the Democrats unilaterally voted against it until the very last time when the Democrats put the bill together to create an inspector general weakened the office, weakened what it was going for, had it report to the governor. So I do blame the Democrat leadership for this in the House and the Senate. I do, absolutely.
Yeah. Absolutely, yeah.
But Walz is, I would say, the most, if any of the politicians, he's the most one to blame. And Keith Ellison as the Attorney General also, and Secretary of State. The big people in the big offices, you let a lot of stuff happen. You got us ripped off and you didn't do anything about it, and nobody's seeing consequences. So that doesn't sit right with me. Another poll that says, what are the most important issues in Minnesota? Number 1, inflation. Number 2, healthcare. Number 3, immigration. The rest of it, that was 40%, 12%, and 12%. The rest of them are at 4, 3, 2%. And that's gun control, abortion, crime, jobs, education. And that's pretty common from what I heard.
Yeah, I was amazed to see how low crime was. It was how low. Crime's a major problem, especially down in the cities where KSTP comes from. And, crime was at 2%. You'd think it would be higher percentage, but
you would.
I was surprised to see a lot of things that low. So. Yeah.
Inflation. I mean, people are just struggling to eat and live. So, and the funny thing is, what didn't you see on there, Dave? Climate change. For the first time in a long time, with USAID out of the picture, that's kind of going away from people's minds, which I think is a good thing, because you got to be able to eat. You got to be able to live somewhere. And if you think you're controlling the climate because you didn't throw didn't put your aluminum can in the recycler, and then the whole place is going to fall apart. Climate's been changing since the earth began, right?
Yeah.
We can do things to make it cleaner around here. We can definitely not, pollute our lakes and everything, but you're not really changing much. But with all this carbon stuff, you're just getting taxed and giving your money to somebody else so they can just laugh at you.
Right.
We're going to skip the next one with the Antifa guy. He's just an idiot. We'll go down to Ilhan Omar. She claims her husband earned less than $1,000 last year after previously reporting a business empire worth millions. She's all over the place. She'll just say anything. And again, why could she do that, Dave? Because never does she ever suffer any consequences for it at all.
Right. Yeah, and she hates white people so much. Why did she marry one?
So imagine you submit a tax return and then you say you made 50 million, then you just refile it and say you only are worth 40,000. What do you think would happen to you? You would have a body cavity search so intense you'd never have to worry about polyps again. These guys would go after you with a fine-tooth comb, and rightfully so, because you can't just change your books like that. But she did. Oh yeah, we have $40 million. Oh no, we're only worth 80,000. She needs to be audited. If she's breaking the law, which she has, I think she broke the law to even get in the country. She needs to be repatriated back to her home country and get out. She could take her husband. I mean, I don't know if he's an American citizen or not. I'm guessing he is, but he can go with her, right?
Except they don't want her back, because Trump did the interview with the president of Somalia, and he's like, "No, we don't want her. You can keep her."
Whoa!
Yeah, exactly.
I get it, brother.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna move on to national news. We're just after the hour. We'll screw through some of these, and then we'll get done. All right. Let's see. What did I say? National. Rogue Obama judge smackdown of Trump's election rules provokes ominous warning from White House deputy. So, executive order titled "Preserving and Protecting the Integrity of American Elections." They say it exceeded presidential authority and violated the Constitution's separation of power. Casper found that the order went beyond enforcing existing law, instead attempted to create or change election rules on its own. So what it comes down to is it seems like every time one of these laws comes out that's supposed to protect us, the American citizens, or help us have more fair elections, or help us with taxation, one of these judges says no. And it's a judge I didn't vote for. I remember voting for Donald Trump. I don't remember voting for this judge, but she can just strike it down, and it's a number of federal judges. So you were telling me a stat of how many judges, how many overrules there were of the previous 4 presidents, right? There were 40.
It was a 46 for all presidents from Reagan all the way up to Biden. And then for Trump, it was 110.
Yeah.
So they're going after him to go after him,
And some of them could be legit, but the fact of the matter is, you look at a lot of them and you're just like, where did that come from? And then they get smacked down by the Supreme Court. But my goodness, this other one, here's a great one. Biden appointed judge blocks Trump's new verification system to remove foreign nationals from voter rolls. Why? And her name is Sparkle Sooknanan. I mean, and go back in time.
She's a foreign national too.
Yeah. Why is she a judge? Should not be a judge.
Absolutely should not be a judge.
But go back in time and go to Thomas Jefferson and George Washington and say, hey, 250 years, Sparkle Sooknanan is going to strike down laws to make sure that foreigners can't be on election rolls. They'd be like, okay, I guess I will be king. George would be like, ain't going to work.
It's not going to work.
I think I'm going to need to be king after all. Trump did score a major win as Congress passes housing crackdown on Wall Street investors. So this was where big investment firms are buying up small houses, single family homes, and they shouldn't do it. And I totally agree with this. And I hope this doesn't get overturned by a federal judge.
I don't think this one will, because if you read into the story, all the Democrats voted in favor of it.
It makes sense. I mean, this is how you protect the American people. So everybody should be for it. Who was against it? That's what I want to know, and who's lined in their pockets.
There's 32 Republicans that voted against it. And it had something to do with the SAVE Act. They're in protest of the SAVE Act.
Okay. Well, great.
Right.
So Trump is ready to reopen. Go ahead.
No, you can go ahead.
Trump is ready to reopen mental institutions. Liberals are furious. I think that's not a bad thing either. We don't need to pop that one up either, Dave. There was vast abuses in mental institutions, but if done right, they're necessary. I mean, go walk on Michigan Street here. I feel sorry for them because they're homeless, and they just don't have the mental capacity to understand that they're in danger. Some of them. And I don't like the idea of forcibly committing anybody, really. I mean, it's like, if they want to be free, that's one thing. But if they're mentally so gone that they're a danger to themselves and others, we got to get them off the street. You can't live like this.
Yeah, you were talking about saving the homeless. Well, that's how you do it with mental institutions.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, because if you're homeless and
you
want a place, there's plenty of places to go where you can get food or shelter. A lot of them don't want to go there because they force them not to be on drugs, and they don't want that. So they're making their choice then. That, to me, that's
right.
You've chosen what you want, which is I support your choice, but don't make me feel guilty about it.
Right.
The U.S. Postmaster General announced that the Postal Service will not deliver mail-in ballots to states who refuse to comply with President Trump's executive order requiring them to provide lists of voters receiving them to ensure they are U.S. citizens. That was a long sentence. What it comes down to is they're going to request these ballots, and the Postmaster General said, we will not deliver them unless you give us verification of where we're sending them. And this was at a congressional hearing. He talked about this. So
that's good.
And the next headline I had to actually modify so it actually made sense when I was reading it. But Arkansas schools teachers unions and proves education can be approved. So despite massive budgets, scores of students in major cities have continued to plummet or remain at the same dismal levels. That's pretty Minnesota right there. Arkansas has shown what's possible if officials put education first. Scores in the state have soared after the implementation of reforms that many of us have advocated for years. I'm reading an article. This isn't from me. It also shows that state governments, not the federal government, are critically reversing the slide in educational performance as the administration moves towards eliminating the Department of Education. And so I got to see what they did here because I'd like to know.
Yeah.
It was interesting talking to the teachers union in that they were talking about their salaries were bad and their pensions were bad, and they had a bunch of rules they had to go through. And really the question is, where's your union? I mean, you don't go to the state legislators to try to make you get the salary you want and the pensions you want and still have a union. So make a choice. If you want to be state employees, and you are state employees, but you basically are a union employee because they do your pension and your health insurance and everything. If you want that, ditch the union. I'm not telling you to do that. I'm just saying that don't go to the legislators and try to get your payroll up and your benefits up and all these other protections and still have a union to get all these other things. It's too many layers. You're giving your money to the union to protect you for that. If they're not doing their job and they're just giving it to other people, maybe you should take a look at your union, get a better union, or get rid of them.
Correct.
And the funny thing too is, and I thought about this, and I haven't talked to you about it, Dave, was after we talked to those guys, all of their stuff was about their pay. You know, wouldn't you want to, as an educator who's concerned about the lowering reading rates and writing rates in Minnesota and how bad it is, how about some stuff that says, hey, can you write some legislation that allows me as an educator to have more free reign with how I'm teaching the kids, or come up with my own plan? Or, you know, there was nothing that had to do with kids' education in there, or how the mandates on them are so strict that they, how about this? I want to be able to expel kids that are disruptive in my class, and I can't do that right now. Please pass legislation that allows it. I didn't hear any of that. And that makes me sad because we're all supposed to be for the same thing. Schools are for the kids. You know, I know that there's teachers there and they have to make a living, but the school's primary focus is the kids. And if that doesn't work, I don't care about any of it, the rest of it.
Yeah, but unfortunately, we were at the union offices, and all the union cares about is, the teachers, and how much percentage of their paycheck do they get? Mm-hmm. So they're gonna screw them on the healthcare. They're gonna screw them on the pensions. They're gonna, screw them on the payroll as long as they're getting their cut.
Right.
So the unions don't care zero about the kids. They just care about the teachers and how much money they're, getting their little fingers on. So
it's sad. We really need to come together as a group and say, kids are first. We got to take care of the people that work there, but the kids are first. The kids got to make, if the kids aren't learning how to read, nothing matters. If you got out of high school because you just went through it and you stayed long enough, it just is a failure on so many levels. And I don't blame the teachers for the failure of the kids to read. I blame the system that makes them do all this other stuff. Maybe there's some teachers that have to do with it, but they have to follow all these rules. They can't get rid of disruptive kids. They can't do this. You can't do that. I don't blame the teachers. In that environment, it would be very tough, but let's work together on fixing that. What
unfunded mandates?
Yeah, unfunded mandates are just ridiculous, and they talked a little bit about that on the federal level. Yeah, as a state representative, I could do something about that. I can go to the federal government. I can work as an advocate for the teachers. You're giving us mandates, you better pay for it or get rid of the mandates.
Yeah.
So anyway, I got to get through some of these other news items. AI chatbots show left-wing bias. Bombshell report finds ChatGPT gives a lefty answer 80% of the time. I don't disagree with that. I've gone to ChatGPT, and when I ask a simple question, Give me some data analysis. I just want numbers of this, and they'll give me a rationale behind it too. Well, you gotta take this into. I don't want that. I want you to tell me what I want to know. What's the percentage of this that does this? Break it down. I will summarize it. I will interpret it. I don't need you to tell me why. And I've driven down on ChatGPT because you can argue with it a little bit. I say, why are you giving me this background? Why are you telling me this? And well, it's important for you to know. No, it really isn't. I'll decide what's important for me to know. You tell me the data.
Yeah.
So,
well, that's why they don't want our kids to read, so they can't critically think.
Right. Yeah. Well, that seems like it, because that's the other thing besides reading is critical thinking, for sure.
Right.
But AI is only as good as the data it's consuming to write answers. So if you're only feeding it that stuff, it's going to have that bias. And I think that's been the intent for the last few years.
Right.
At first, it was just like everything else that started with the internet and everything. It was all pure. It was all just feed it what we have. Then it was, whoa, wait, we can get our results if we do it this way. And then it changed. Back to Seattle. We talked about this at the beginning of the show. Seattle's sky-high $26 an hour minimum wage for delivery drivers has been a disaster. Fewer drivers, and those that remain didn't make more money, as DoorDash reports 1.7 million fewer orders due to the higher prices. The city council president, no longer on the city council, said, "We made a mistake." No kidding. So they added a $5 surcharge, and people are like, "No, it's not worth it. You've gone above your value ratio." Right?
Right.
People are willing to take and pay for this when they get this level of service, and then you cripe over that, well, you're out. People just go to the grocery store themselves. It's not worth it. It's like fast food. I went to, I don't even want to, Taco Bell or Taco John's, I'll say it. I hadn't been to Taco John's and I love their food. I love their potato olays. Wife and I went there, go through the drive-through. We got a couple burritos, couple tacos, potato olays. It was like $37.
Yeah.
Your cost has gone over your value to me. I don't value your food. I can make a burrito like you made it for probably about $3 for the two of us. So that was it.
Yeah.
That was the last time I went to Taco John's.
Well, I'm not going to say the restaurant, but there's actually been a few restaurants that I don't go to anymore because I don't see the value in what I get when I'm done.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, well, this is what you're serving me, and I got to pay almost $15. It's like, no, I can go to sit down. I can go to a sit down and, get waited on and still be under that. So,
and the other thing too is when I make it at home, I know what's in it. I know what the ingredients are. I know where the beef came from.
Right.
I'm pretty particular about my bread I buy and all that stuff. But when you go to a restaurant, it's not going to be that. It's going to be the cheap stuff because it's going to be high fructose corn syrup and 79% beef fat and stuff.
Yeah.
We don't have to pop up things about this the next few stories, but a decline in cars. I just found this headline funny, this article funny. A decline in car break-ins across Oakland is being welcomed as a public safety win, but it is contributing to a downturn in some local auto glass repair businesses. They actually do an article that say people aren't breaking into the cars anymore, and that's a bad thing. And here's why.
Yeah.
I can't win.
No.
Be happy that nobody's getting their car broken into. Please try to be happy for people not having to worry about their cars out at night.
Yeah, but in California, like San Francisco, they roll the windows down when they park their cars so people won't break them to get into it. They just, there's nothing in here. Don't break my window.
What a way to live, huh?
Yeah.
Couple more stories just to pop it out. George Washington's 1757 beer recipe has been brought back to life ahead of America's 250th birthday. I think that's pretty appropriate. George Washington, by far, is my number one president of all time. I don't think anybody can ever top him for what he did to build the country and his stepping away and not taking. They offered him to be king. I mean,
right.
The guy freaking turned down the opportunity to be a king of a new country and stepped down after 2 terms, setting the precedent that went all the way up to FDR. And then he said, no, I think the world needs more of Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Your social programs aren't in place yet. So I don't even like beer, and I will try some of George Washington's beer, I think, if I could get a chance.
Yeah.
And the last one I thought was pretty cool. One of my other favorite presidents is Teddy Roosevelt. His library will finally be opened on July 4th. 107 years in the making. And I don't understand why these presidential libraries have to be so big. I remember a Futurama episode. It was like the big presidential library. It was a huge room, and in the middle of it was a table with a disc. Yeah, we got it.
Yeah, I just heard something about the Obama's in Chicago, his presidential library that just opened. And the funny thing is to get in, you have to show ID.
There's Alanis Morissette's ironic play, and is that
yeah,
the thing
exactly, the whole time. So I don't know if it's true or not, but I found the whole thing funny. So,
all right, we're gonna go on international news. I'll pop this thing up. I'll pop the image up. According to the UN, these are the things that people are concerned about, and that is education is number one, which kind of is a surprise to me, but I feel that's good. People should be concerned about education. Health, job, corruption, nutrition, violence, clean water, support for the unemployed, better infrastructure, equity, equality, reliable. I'm surprised that support for the unemployed is so far up, to be honest.
Yeah.
Political freedom, no discrimination, protecting forests, rivers, phone and internet. I don't know what that means. And action on climate change. I think we've talked about this before. It's also very interesting, that since USAID has gone away, the climate crisis has gone away a little bit. You know, people aren't so agitated about it. You're not going to constantly being told you're going to die. You're going to die. Part of that is because of the USAID. Part of it is because, remember Al Gore, how we were not going to have cities, like some of the cities were going to be flooded by the year 2000. You remember when we were going to run out of oil by the year 1980, that we were going to go into a freeze, that the ice caps were going to be gone. By this time, we were going to be underwater. Greta Thunberg, what is her name? Greta Thunberg?
Greta Thunberg, yeah.
Yeah, we're all going to be dead, And as those don't come true, how many more grifts do you have to face before you finally realize it's not as bad as you think? We can always do better, but a lot of this climate change stuff, especially the carbon neutral stuff, was a means to take your money and put it in other people's pockets. And
right.
I think Al Gore is a great example of it. Yeah, his movie is completely wrong, but he got successful and very rich from it. So.
But remember, that was also a UN worldwide poll. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of Europeans, you never know where these numbers come from. There was 9 million people that they talked to. So, like if it was coming from South America or Africa, I could see where education would be really high on the list because, maybe they're not as organized as other countries. They're a third world country and might not be organized. But so you got to kind of look at it in a worldwide perspective on that one. So, but it was good to see no one cared about climate change. It was bottom of the list.
Clean water. I mean, we don't think about it in America. I don't think as much because we just take it for granted. But clean water is so important, especially when you start talking about Africa or South America, where you've got lots of little critters that can go in there. We really are very blessed in this country to have this clean, free water. I could go to a water fountain. I went to one yesterday. Free water fountain, just clean, good water. We lose sight of that, and that's just natural when you're living kind of luxury we live in this country.
Right.
But speaking of climate change, the UN Secretary General demands $1.3 trillion a year to fight
A
climate.
year.
Yeah, so this is the gasping breaths of their grift right here.
Yeah.
Going all in and trying to make it so, this is it. 1.3 trillion a year. And these guys who can't change their pants are the ones that are going to fix climate change, right? They're the ones that are going to fix it.
Yeah, they just want the money. They didn't explain how they're going to, what programs they're going to do to save the world.
Yeah. Well, they're going to use that money to buy beachfront property on places that are going to be underwater in 10 years.
Right.
I guess. The last thing on the international news is a UK lawyer cleaned up 200 bags of waste from a polluted river. And now he faces up to 2 years in prison for doing it without a permit. This is government that I cannot stand.
Yeah.
He does this civil service. He does it on his own dime. He cleans up a river, beautifies it, and he could be thrown into jail for it. To prison. We got to lock you away. You might clean up another river. We got to be careful with you.
Yeah.
Right?
We got to stop you.
Yeah. All right, we're going to go into our last section of health and fitness. I always kind of give an overview of this. I think, and Dave thinks that people need to continuously fix their health, work on their health throughout their lives. You got some highs, you got some lows. You're not always going to be 20 years old. Go out and do something. Feed your brain, feed your body, do something, progress. It doesn't matter what it is. So having had grandma's marathon here last week, and I think is a kind of a shot to me, Dave put on the after effects of a marathon. The first 24 to 72 hours is acute shock, muscle soreness, depletion, and immune open window. Oh, that does not sound good. I can tell you this much. I felt like an old man on Sunday. To the point where I didn't have any ambition. I don't like being like that. I like wanting to do stuff all the time. And when I get done with a half marathon, I am done. And Sunday was like, it was Father's Day too. So my daughter came over. She cooked these great meatballs. My wife made this potato salad. I was eating. I was having a good day, but I just felt like a blob. I still made myself do stuff, but I wasn't happy about it. The first week, systemic repair, inflammation, blood markers for tissue damage, and systemic inflammation remain elevated for about a week. Cardiac strain, nervous system. Boy, you're really making me feel good, Dave. Active recovery, light walking or easy swimming is recommended to promote blood flow. Well, what about benching? I did so well yesterday. I don't know. Maybe I should have waited a week. So that's the after effects of running a marathon. And if you've done it, it's not something you get over in today, but it's not bad. I don't feel bad. I feel pretty good. Last thing in health and fitness, I thought I'd throw this in here is Judge Amy Berman Jackson shuts down Trump administration SNAP junk food restrictions. So Trump administration put a restriction on junk food and said you can't have junk food on your SNAP benefits, trying to promote people that if you're going to buy food on our dime, on our taxpayer dime, it better be something that's going to be good for you so that you're not buying stuff that's going to put you in the hospital and have to have us pay for that as well. Well, no, you can't do that. So it's got to go through the Supreme Court, I guess, to get it fixed. Once again, these judges are really looking out for us in the best possible way, don't you think?
Yeah. And our money.
Yeah. All right. And it's a long show. We're just about done. We're going to go through the Dave's word of the day. Dave, give us the word of the day and why you picked it.
The word of the day is, well, it's actually two words, but it's lip service. And I was thinking about the data centers because they've already started building it, even though it's not been approved up in Hermantown. So the definition of lip service refers to the act of expressing support or agreement verbally. Number two, lack of follow through. It implies there's no genuine intention to act on those expressed ideas or commitments. So you go to the Hermantown city council meeting, they nod their head. Oh yeah, they're listening to you, and they have zero intention of caring what you think. That's lip service.
Appropriate. Very good.
Yeah, so I thought that was appropriate. So,
All right. All right. With that, we will sign off for this week and do it all again next week. Anything else you want to talk about, Dave?
no, we got through all 17 pages, and we're running long. So,
All
time
right,
to
well,
go.
So this is the Duluth Conservative. Please like and subscribe. It would be really nice to have more people watching and talking about this and talking about these news stories. We love the comments. We got a few comments tonight, which was nice to see. You guys have a great weekend. It's going to be nice out. If you're in Duluth, go to Park Point. A&Dubs is open in the west side. Go get a burger. They're fantastic. So until next week, throw your shaka. Be good. I'm Sean.
I'm Dave.
And this has been Duluth Conservative, and we will see you next week. Thanks for coming.